Hi, this is Don Williams, editor of Ultimate Motorcycling Magazine, and I'm here with the new Triumph Tiger Sport 800, and it's a brand new model this year. Although it's not a completely new bike, there's a lot of new things about it. Let's start with the engine. The engine is part of the 660, 765 family. Now, it will look from the exterior pretty much identical to those bikes, but in reality, almost everything inside has been changed and jiggered and moved around to make it into a full 800cc bike. And what they did with that was it gives it a lot more power, obviously, than the 660. And while it's not as powerful as the 765 used in the street triple, it's still a very powerful motor that focuses more on torque rather than top-end horsepower. So, again, this is a sport tour, adventure-based sport touring bike. So you're not looking for the ultimate in performance, even though you still are looking for the sport performance. So that's the motor. The chassis is basically based on the same one that you see in the 660 Tiger 660 Sport. Excellent chassis, nothing to complain about it. Triumph did make a couple little changes when they redid the motor. It got 3 fuel injectors, or 3 throttle bodies. So the 3 throttle bodies needed a little bit more room, so they reworked the frame a little bit, but it still has the same geometry as the 660. So realistically, you're looking at the same thing. Another big upgrade they did to this bike was that they upgraded the electronics. So you have 3 power modes, you have rain, and I'll get to that in a minute because we here in the south coast of Portugal had rain, and a lot of it for part of the ride. Sport at the other end, and then in between road, which is kind of the casual ride. So since I've talked about the rain, let me start with the rain. When we started the day, it was raining. I mean, not really rainy. It was like heavy mist. The roads were wet. And being a Southern California guy for my entire life, I don't ride much in the rain. When it rains, I just go, well, I think I'll stay home today, and I'll go ride a different day, the other 360 days a year that it's not raining. So for me, rain I wouldn't say I'm a novice, but I'm pretty, inexperienced in the rain. So what I did was I put the bike smartly in the rain mode. Now, why did I put it in the rain mode? Well, if I crashed, I wanted to at least say I was in the rain mode. And what that does is it gives me more traction control. The traction control is more aggressive. The throttle response is padded down. And so the ABS is also adjusted for the rain. So you take all those together, and in the rain, I felt completely in the wet. So I'm gonna say it wasn't in the rain in the morning. Like I said, it was heavy mist. You get stuff on your face shield, but generally speaking, it wasn't like pelting down like it was later, which I'll get to. So the roads were wet. I'm working, through everything, going and just kind of gaining confidence on it. And the traction control is kind of one of the hallmarks of this bike for me on a day like this. It's incredibly transparent. I kept trying to get on the throttle. Whoa, I'm gonna break that back end loose, and it just didn't do it. It's what they call semi-predictive, where it looks at all the things that are going on and says, well, should I be traction controlling or should I just let it go? And if it thinks that it's going to be needing it, it starts to engage it early so that you don't feel that hit of engagement. So it's always smooth on and off. So it works super well, really, really well. So, and this has the Michelin Road 5 tires. Excellent, again, in this in the wet. I was expecting to be a little bit more nervous, but again, the more I got riding, the more confidence I got. Tires are great. So then we go to lunch, it dries out. Oh, sport mode. Now it's time for some fun. And this bike, Triumph will tell you, is a sport bike. It's an upright sport bike with a fairing, which you see more often than you do, but these are kind of coming back. So you have that comfort of the fairing, but you also have the sporty seating position, although this is a bit adventure-like. The handlebars are fairly wide. You're sitting upright. The seat height is a little high because the suspension travels just like that extra inch more than a street bike. So this is, again, the adventure style, but for me, it's super comfortable. Everything, the seat, foot peg, grip, positioning all work together perfectly well. I'm 100% comfortable all the time I'm on the bike. And when you're comfortable, you can go fast. And when you hop it into the sport mode, it has really good throttle response. Now, when Triumph will show you a dyno chart, and the torque curve's pretty flat from idle on up to red line, which it is. But there's more to the power delivery than that. And it's the programming of the throttle response, because it's ride-by-wire, so it's not like when you turn this, you're like physically opening, the butterfly valves. That's all electronically controlled, so they can make it so when you do this, it opens up at a different speed than your turn is. So in this case, the bike has, usually you talk about like a linear acceleration. This is more of a progressive acceleration. It's smooth down in the bottom, which is what you would want for a bike that you're touring on. There's never that click, click, click kind of jerkiness, but then it ramps up as it goes. And when you get, right into the mid-range and upper mid-range, then it takes off and it's really fast. So you have that comfortable ride, but if you want to go hard, rev it up, get going, the motor hauls. And fortunately, the chassis is completely capable of handling that. It's got the Showa suspension. You have adjustments for compression rebound damping in the fork, and on the shock, there's rebound damping and spring preload. Now, I'm kind of the average guy, average weight, average skill level. So whenever Triumph sets these bikes up, or actually any brand, it's kind of like they're setting them up for me. So I kind of like that. It's like I just get on everything. I don't say, oh, I need more rebound. I'm not riding on that cutting edge. I'm not going super slow. I'm not super heavy or super light. I'm right in the middle. So that all works out pretty good for me. The settings on this, I've never felt that there was something that I didn't like. Suspension is a bit on the firm side for what you might expect. If you think your adventure bike, you have kind of a softer feeling of it. This one's a bit more sporty, so things are firmed up, and they still feels good. You might have to, when there's a lot of speed bumps up in the mountains here in Portugal, it helps to stand up going over them to absorb it'll take, a little bit of a snap on things like that. But in the normal use, we went on like a road that was pretty deteriorated, not quite an adventure road, but more than you would normally take a street bike on. The suspension was completely fine. The handling was completely fine. And so part of the sport bike experience, not just the engine, but also the handling and everything. This is a super neutral bike. The way, when you want to go in fast, the bike will react fast. You want to hold a line, it's completely happy to do that. It's completely stable going into corners, out of corners. The brakes are exceptional. They have that nice, soft initial engagement, so you don't get jerked. But then as you crank down on it, kind of like the opposite of the throttle, the harder you crank, the more progressive the braking is. It has steel braided brake lines, so what you feel is what you get. That's super nice. It's funny, they have the Triumph branded calipers, and you have the Triumph branded master cylinder, but you have the J1 or J1, however you want to pronounce it, brake lines. They got their branding on that part. So you ride it around, you've got a great sport bike, you've got a touring bike that can handle the rain. Now on the way back, we got deluged. It came down, it was raining. It wasn't pretend raining, it was windy, it was raining. A real test of a touring bike, because when you're going touring, you can't always predict on a 5-day or 7-day ride what the weather's going to be everywhere you go, every day, every time. And this bike handled the rain incredibly well. Now it's made in England, so they have a lot of people there in England that work on it being good in the rain. I'm sure they get a lot of practice on that. And the bike works exceptionally well in the rain. One of the nice things is this windshield is in the down position, but it goes right up. And there's little notches along the way. I'm probably going to wrestle with it because I'm not in the right position because I'm not sitting on the bike. But it goes up. It's not electronic, but it's still a huge difference. You can see how much lower this is than when it's at the high. And in the high, I got good protection from the rain. I mean, it still was collecting rain on my face shield, but I think it kept me drier, like in here, where you get that little pool in your crotch, which is never fun. Didn't really have any problem with that. The whole fairing area is fairly wide. You don't notice it when you're riding so much until you look down, but that wideness, that broad design keeps a lot of the wind and rain off of you. Same with these little side fairing pieces. These actually come off. So if you're me and you ride when it's 100 degrees out in the Mojave Desert, for that day, if you want, you can just pull these off and you get a little bit more wind flow. So that's a really good feature of that. Other than that, you have the normal Triumph switchgear. You've got the TFT and LCD display. I really like them. They're easy to read. They give you all the information you need. You can scroll through and get different things. So that kind of covers it, except I forgot, there actually is a third mode, the road mode. And I didn't actually use it that much as it worked out today, because a lot of the time I might have normally used the road mode when it was raining, so I was in the rain mode. But I still did get a decent amount of time in the road mode, and it's very nice. It comes on a lot smoother than not smoother, it comes on a lot gentler than the sport mode. So when you get on the gas, it just doesn't accelerate as hard. It's not like the sport mode is jumpy or anything. It's just it goes like much. There's a harder acceleration. So it's not like it smooths everything out. It just slows everything down, and not so it's not fun, but just so you can just ride more casually and be more comfortable if you're on a open road where you're not doing a lot of acceleration or braking or anything else. It just works good for that. So I will say, if you want to go to Portugal and go riding, this is a pretty amazing place. When you go through the hills, and every time you go over one ridge, you see another gigantic, beautiful green valley, and then there's a road that goes down to the bottom. You cross a creek, come back up, and it just goes on and on and on. I also want to give a little shout out to the Alpine Stars gear that I'm wearing. Kept me completely dry, and this was a good test of it. We were going pretty good on the freeway and like some pretty heavy rain. Nothing got through. The gloves, the jacket, the pants, the boots, especially the boots, really. I had some bamboo socks under there. I was warm, and I'm not somebody who likes to ride in the rain, wants to ride in the rain, has any desire to ride in the rain, goes out when it's raining. But sometimes when you're at work, you got to do things you don't normally want to do. And so I went out in the rain, and it helps to have all the right gear. It helps to have the right bike. And so even though it was wet, and then it was dry, and then it was storming, at the end of the day, it was great. And motorcycle riding pretty much is always going to be fun. The Tiger Sport 800 is a fantastic new model to me. I love the 660 Sport. That's a great bike too. But this is just kind of more everywhere. More electronics, a great quick shifter, great traction control, excellent ABS. I think I was able to break the traction control once. I got on the gas and I had a little tiny fishtail. I was like, oh, that was a surprise. And the brakes, when you get on hard, they do not pulse. You can feel them kind of working, but it's not that clunky thing. You can just kind of know that it's doing the ABS deal. And so everything about this bike makes it easy to ride, and you can ride long distances. We rode a pretty good ride today, and you're not in a bad seating position. You're well protected from the wind. You're well protected from the rain. It's just an excellent sport touring bike. And now that they're using the adventure bikes in this way to kind of replace the old school sport touring bikes, with the still 17-inch wheels, this is not an adventure bike in any way. It's something to definitely consider. So that was my day in Portugal on the 2025 Tiger Sport 800. Fantastic model, fantastic motorcycle, fantastic roads. Not the best weather, but that's okay. Anyway, thanks for watching. Talk to you later.